All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Ustride. All right, so it's over. It's time to send this wheel back to Ewheels. However, before I send it back to Ewheels, I'll be sending it to EUC Vibes. Now, EUC Vibes and I had a race. He had his Master Pro, and I had this amazing beast right here. Both wheels did great, but I won. All right, so now I made a list of things to go over here before I finally release this thing. Some of the pros is the quality. Now, obviously, Inmotion is known for its quality. Everybody knows that, and this is no exception. This thing has amazing quality. The downside is that it comes with a lot of weight. Unlike the Master, this thing is very rigid. The Master Pro has a lot of issues in terms of rigidity. During my ride on the playback, I ended up hearing a lot of squeaks and stuff, which is to be expected because the wheel has pretty much one main support. Now the suspension pretty much acts as the main frame, and what I experienced is in one of my crashes, one part of the main frame that holds up the battery pretty much got detached from that body, which is the top part of the wheel. And if it was a wheel with a body, kind of like this or the Master Pro, that would never have happened. So there's too much opportunity for the Master Pro to break apart in a crash. But this thing comes with a body, so it's completely rigid. You won't have to worry about that at all. There's the front and back rails. That's an exceptional touch, and it just adds to the rigidity and quality of the V13. All right, next is performance. So what's surprising about such a massive wheel, 110 pounds, is that it has great performance. It has the power assist. Now with the power assist, you have acceleration assist and brake assist. With the acceleration assist, this thing does actually give you acceleration assist. Okay, off the line, if you have good pads, it takes away from the weight of the wheel, so you can actually push this thing the way you'd like to had it not been so heavy. The drawback to the power assist is that it drastically reduces the battery performance, okay? So whereas you had 3,024 watt hours, you know, you could probably push, I don't know, maybe 25 miles doing 45 miles an hour. With power assist on, it's gonna be a lot less, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people thought this was going to be a long range wheel because it's so huge. Not so. This wheel is not a long range wheel if you plan on doing above 35 miles an hour. Above 35 miles an hour, I wouldn't consider this to be a good long range wheel at all. Bring your charger, but even that is not really a fast charger, so you're gonna expect, you know, a lot of charging time here. Whether this thing supports fast charging or not, I don't know. I haven't checked, but you can check. So just because it's a big wheel does not mean it's a long range wheel. Now the weight of the wheel also takes away from that performance, okay? That battery range that you would have loved if this was designed for long range. This is designed with an 18650 cell, so low density, and that's just a bad start to begin with. Also about performance is, you know, the pedals that it comes with. I recommend changing those pedals immediately. A lot of you guys already know this. That was my first experience with the pedals. It's like, it was an afterthought. They were just like, hey, this thing is expensive as it is. Let's not spend more money on pedals. There's a ton of pedals in the market. I'm pretty sure these guys will figure it out. That's the gist I got from this wheel as to why Inmotion released it with those horrendous pedals. With that said, you can increase your performance a lot by just changing the pedals altogether. I recommend going with the E-Rides X-Men pedals, and if you have something else, maybe the Begode wide pedals, that would do well too, like the one that comes with the Master Pro. But for now, I highly recommend just getting rid of the pedals completely. So one thing I should mention about the V13 pedal, even though it's terrible, if you're going to change it over to the E-Rides X-Men pedals, I would highly recommend you use not only the rod that comes with the V13, but also the washer. Maybe E-Rides can do an adjustment in the future to their X-Men pedal, but what I've found is that only one washer can fit. The rod that comes with the V13 is very proprietary to Inmotion, so you're gonna have to use that rod with the X-Men pedal in order to get it to work. Also, another adjustment that E-Rides could do or could make is creating the little adjustable screws that goes into the front and back of the pedals, making those stainless steel, because right now the Inmotion has stainless steel, and I rode for about a month or less than a month, and the E-Ride's pedal is already rusting. So whereas the Inmotion is still spanking new. Now, obviously the tire is, much concern for many people. Some people like it, some people don't. I like it. I just feel that, a street tire would have been a lot better, but that's just my opinion. It does add a lot of resistance, which in my opinion takes away from the range as well. But if you plan on going between terrains, grass, gravel, dirt, sand, etc., road, man, this thing is all around good. Although there are street wheels out there that handles all of those parameters quite well, you just have to do some searching. But off the bat, this is a really good all-terrain tire. So another add-on that Inmotion instinctively added to their wheel are these handlebars. These handlebars are not just for show. The back might be for show, but the front is definitely not for show, because this thing is needed. In order to hold brake the way you really want to hold brake on a big wheel such as this, you need to be able to yank it back. What I've found is even if you have good pads, the weight of this machine is just too much. And if you don't have the pads properly seated on the wheel, you can actually rip off the pads and then you're braking, there it goes. What I've found is braking assist doesn't really help that much unless you're moving at a really slow rate. If you're going from like 40 miles an hour and you're trying to slow down to like 5 miles an hour, power assist doesn't seem to help. So these handles come in handy. Now, as far as acceleration, the acceleration for such a big wheel such as this is pretty good. The only thing I'll say is that there's a lot of work to it, okay? So if you plan on riding this thing in a straight line, quarter-mile race, or just cruising, great wheel. If you come to a stop or come to a slow grind or slow roll, you're then gonna start to feel the weight a lot. But while it's moving above 20 miles an hour, you really don't feel much. Also, just a quick comparison between this and the Master Pro. In the wind, this is a lot better because it's heavy, and I feel the aerodynamics of this wheel is just 100% good. Whereas the Master Pro, there's just too many gaps for the wind to go through and cause turbulence, and it makes the riding very iffy and scary in many situations. And I don't want that. I don't like that. With this, I've never had a single issue in the wind, and I've purposely gone in really tough 20-mile-per-hour winds just to see how this thing handles, and it handles pretty well. Versus the Master Pro, scary as hell. Now, in terms of acceleration, the Master Pro I've found to be a lot better, a lot smoother from 0 or maybe 10 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour. No issues at all. With this, a lot of effort. You have to put in a lot of effort in order to do from 10 to 50. But then again, this thing has 20% buffer, so you can push it as hard as you want, up to 50, 56 miles an hour, and it will not let you down. Why? Because it has a 20% safety margin. So while you might get a little dip, I haven't experienced it, this thing's got your back. But again, this is from 100% down to 80%. Below that, I have no idea what to expect. Just in terms of rideability, in short, I'll say the Master Pro is a lot easier and more fun to ride than this. I wouldn't say you're always aware of the weight, because once you start moving, that motor, that heavy 4,500 watt motor does take over the weight, so you don't really feel it. But it is there, and you don't want to forget that, because, in case of a situation where you're not expecting to stop quickly or turn quickly or brake quickly or accelerate quickly or make evasive maneuvers, this thing is gonna remind you, I'm heavy. Which is why they made the motor so powerful. But making it powerful and heavy, plus the weight, plus the body, holy smokes, it's just too much, So overall, the Master Pro is just a better option, not just because of the 4,800 watt-hour battery, which is a #1 reason to choose the Master Pro over this, but just the rideability. It's just more fun. So in the end, basically what I would like to say is that Inmotion did a fantastic job entering into the performance realm. The issue is a number of things: heavy motor, heavy wheel, low battery capacity, but not just the battery capacity, the type of battery they decided to use, which is an 18650. 18650s are great, but not for massive wheels like this with such low performance specs. And when I say performance specs, I mean in terms of the range, because the speed is there, the buffer is there, quality is there, but it's on the backbone of very little battery specs. and that's just going to take away the fun from the wheel overall. If I were to choose between this overall, that means long range, speed, circuit racing, comfort, everything. Number one thing about a big wheel is range anxiety. With small wheels, I don't really care too much because they're small and they're quick to recharge. But this thing is huge, and I can't expect to charge this thing quickly. If I were to recommend this wheel versus the Master Pro, even though this thing is all A pluses where everything else matters, like quality, build, all that stuff, safety, all that stuff is important, don't get me wrong. But I think we've gotten to a point now where battery is not a major concern, because we've figured out, or they've figured out, you know, the older batteries that we used to use had issues, so they've since rectified that. I haven't heard many Master Pros blowing up, Masters blowing up, etc., etc. So I think we've come to a point where that issue is now an old issue and we can put it behind us. So with that said, the Master Pro, unfortunately, is still going to have to be my recommendation versus this for the price. I just recommend you get a fairing for the Master Pro, because if you have a Master Pro with the plastic casing, that's going to crack. So that's number one. Number two, you need a fairing. I'm going to keep saying that because, you know, even though the fairing is going to add weight, it's going to add rigidity to the wheel, it's going to add aerodynamics to the wheel, and it's just going to make it look better. Shout out to Inmotion. They did a great job. Another thing I have to mention is that there's just too many errors going on here. Now, the more advanced technology gets, naturally, there's more things to worry about, more things to check. Begode has always kept it simple, and I've never had issues with them. This thing can leave you stranded, and that's my main concern. It's left me stranded twice, not into that. But even though it's left me stranded before because of minor errors, what I can say is better be safe than sorry, right? But not for close to $4,000, dude. Inmotion has done a great job introducing this type of wheel, but let's stay tuned for what they have to offer in the future, because they have 4 categories of wheels that they will be introducing. So hopefully one of those categories will be in the realm of not the Master Pro, or not even this design, but more the Commander Pro or the EX30 or something like that, or the Sherman S. That would be fantastic. You know what I mean? If they could at least cross the 3,400 watt hour battery capacity with maybe half the weight, or maybe 2/3 of the weight of this. You know what I mean? So let's see. So regarding the suspension, this wheel versus the Master Pro has 2 very different suspensions. Now, it didn't seem like Inmotion focused too much on what type of suspension they were going to put on here, because this was never meant to be an off-roading wheel, although I've seen some people try to do it. This is an all-around wheel, okay? But mostly for the road. So this thing has very little maintenance, which is what I love. The Begode also has very little maintenance, but the issue with the Begode, or any wheel that's like the Begode with the linkages and everything, is that you have a lot more that could go wrong. Now, I'm not an off-roader. I'm not someone who's aggressive on trails or anything like that. I'm mostly a road guy. So, you know, if suspension is why you're choosing a particular wheel, and you're not an off-roader, you're just a trail rider, and you don't really care much about range, then yeah, this would not be a bad option at all. But if you're looking for something that's robust, something that's durable, no matter where you go, then yeah, the Master Pro is gonna have to be the option. So, but again, Inmotion did say that they will be releasing new wheels with linkages, you know, suspension with linkages. So let's see what they pull off. Anyway, guys, I had a lot of fun with this. Now it's going off to EUC Vibes, who's going to pretty much get used to it, get to learn it. I have his Master Pro right now, and we're gonna try to do our second EUC Blitz race, but first official EUC Blitz race, and we duke it out again. 3 rounds, we'll see who does well in a quarter-mile race. If we could do a circuit race, that'd be great, but a quarter-mile race it is, so let's see how this thing does. But overall, heading in the right direction. The weight is still an issue. Battery technology is a thing, but I think Inmotion will figure it out. So see you guys in the next one. Happy riding.